I always think that some of my best journal entries that I did were really in week 6 and week 7. I think this is where I was able to put more information about what I was seeing in my observations and who I was with. I started off most of my journal entries with the school that I'm doing, the grade, the days I would go. So Monday and Friday, and Tuesday and Thursday, from 12 to 2, and then from 8 to 10. And then I would put the dates that I went. And this was just so I can remember, oh yeah, I only went these days, so I was able to get this information. When I would go down to part A in observation, I always had question number 2 and number 4. And this was just basically talking about, comparing and contrast the school environment and their neighborhood. I also wrote how in the 4th question it asked, what are some of the things that the classroom has and provides for the students. And going down, I would do observations and I would do question 2 and 5. I did 2 and 5 for week 6, and then at week 7, I changed it to question 4. And I think it was because I had more to talk about in question 4 than I did in question 5. So then I did kind of miss some of the questions right there. They weren't the same for each one. And question 2 just explained how the behavior was with students. Question 5 talk about if there was any displayment of their assignments in the room. And then the 4th one, the one that I switched, was the learning styles that the students displayed. And I had plenty to talk about then. Then we would go down to teacher observation focus number 3, which was the teacher and staff and administration. And I always put the questions 1 and 3, which describe the teacher and how she was dressed and how they would carry themselves within the classroom. Basically talk about, her day-to-day, how she taught, what did she wear, and stuff. I also did question 3, which talk about, did the teacher appear prepared for the lesson that was taught. I decided to do this one because I really think it stood out to me, since I was able to see her prep during her break time and in the mornings. So I wrote a lot of information there too. And for part B and reflections, I put down more information that I didn't write down in the questions that I did give, but I put it in the section that it had, like environment. If something was going on that day, say they were doing a fire drill or any other drill or anything that had to do with the environment of the school, I put down that I didn't mention probably in the questions that I was provided to ask. Students, I talked about, my interactions with them, what I did with them, other than just observing, what did the host teacher have me do. And then teacher, staff, and administration, I usually always left the same thing, since all the staff, always acted the same way. I think I would just tweak it. If what they were doing, if there was a fire drill, like what were the staff doing? How did the staff help each other? How were each of them both contacted from, the office and the people in charge? So it was just little details that I would add on in the reflection. And this was where I just really was able to talk more about. And then I would always add pictures at the end if I had any pictures to add from that week that I was observing. I would put a picture of, if they was talking about classroom, I put a picture of, how the teacher arranged her classroom, or if there was any assignments on the wall that I thought were really interesting, I would put them at the end of each reflection and the journal entries. So this is usually how I would do my journal entries. And the thing is, I would go like day by day writing things down. That way when I would come on Sunday evening, I would just write down everything that I had in my notebook, and it just made it easier on me.